Hey guys, it's me, Miss Norris, and today I'd like to share a fun St. Patrick's Day read aloud with you. Today I will be reading the story Finn McCool, the Giant of Knockmany Hill, retold and illustrated by Tomie dePaola, and this story was made in 1981, and it's kind of fun and kind of silly, and I think you're really going to like it. If you're ready to hear the story, I'm ready to share it with you. Here we go. Finn McCool, the Giant of Knockmany Hill. I believe this is Knockmany Hill right here. In olden times, when Ireland's glens and woods were still filled with fairies and leprechauns, giants too lived on that fair emerald isle. One of the finest of those big folk was Finn McCool, who was wed to the lovely great lass Oonagh. They made their home on the top of Knockmany Hill. So here's Finn McCool and his wife, Oonagh. Now, as any good giant, Finn McCool had his work to do, so he was often away from home. Lovely Oonagh didn't seem to mind, for there was plenty to keep her own hands busy, spinning, knitting, and even giving a pretty touch to their great house. So Oonagh stayed at home most of the time while Finn had to go out and do giant's work. Life was very pleasant indeed. One morning when Finn McCool was busy working with his kin building a causeway to Scotland, the word came that Cucullin was coming. Now, I don't know what Cucullin is, but I'm really excited to turn this page and find out. But by the looks of his face, of Finn's face, I don't think Cucullin is a good thing. Dun, dun, dun. Oh yeah, here we go. Cucullin was a giant too, and without a doubt the strongest in that part of the world. When he walked, the very earth trembled, and with one blow of his fist, he had flattened a thunderbolt so it looked like a pancake. Ew. He was so proud of that feat that he kept the thunderbolt in his pocket to show all just how strong he was. So you can see he's poof and smashed a thunderbolt flat as a pancake, and he keeps it in his pocket so he can show people and be like, I'm tough. I can understand why Finn made that face when he heard Cucullin was coming. Every giant in Ireland had been given a good beating by Cucullin. Every giant, that is, except Finn McCool. And Cucullin swore by the green that he would never rest, day or night, winter or summer, until Finn McCool was added to his list. Check. So he's fought everybody, and he wants to fight Finn too. You think Finn wants to fight? I don't think all giants want to fight. Some do, kind of like some people. Some people want to fight, but I don't think most do. So far, Finn had been smart enough. He kept moving about whenever he heard that Cucullin was in the neighborhood. But this time, Cucullin was sure to get him. So Finn left the causeway and sped off for Knockmany Hill, his house and his darling Oonagh. "Finn, my love," said Oonagh, greeting him by the door. "What brings you home so early from your work?" "Oh, the chance to get a sight of you, my sweet thing," said Finn. Since he was as honest as the summer day is long, he added, "And to keep me out of the way of Cucullin. He's after me." Now, do you think Oonagh is going to be happy that someone wants to come to his house and fight? If my husband brought someone home that was going to fight, I would not like it one bit. Oonagh soothed her husband. She brought him his slippers and lit a pipe for him. She stirred up the peat fire so it would be cozy. Then she set down a huge mug of stout and cut a gigantic slab of soda bread for her dearie. Finn, my husband of mine, enough is enough, said Oonagh, as gently as she could. For years, you've been hiking around from one place to another to avoid Cucullin. Why, you even built our house high on this windiest of hills so you could be able to spy him coming. You'll not get a moment's rest until you stand fast and face him. I'll be getting plenty of rest if I stand fast and he knocks me down. I don't have the heart to face a man who can make a young earthquake just with his walk, and who carries around a flattened thunderbolt in his pocket just to prove his strength. Okay, so Oonagh says, you need to just stand up and say, hey, Cucullin, why do you want to fight with me? And Finn says, if I do that, I'm going to get lots of rest because he's just going to knock me down and I'm not going to be able to get up. I don't know what he's going to do. At Knockmany Hill gave a little dance. At that, Knockmany Hill gave a little dance. So his whole hill did a little shake. He's coming, said Finn, his face turning a fine shade of pale green. Now hush, said Oonagh, and give me time to think. Do you worry that I won't do all I can to help you settle this matter once and for all? So she says, hang on, buddy. You go hide and be really quiet. I'm going to help you. You think I want you to do this by yourself? No way. Oonagh then worked a charm the fairies had taught her. Ooh, magic. She took 9 woolen threads, each a different color, and braided them into 3 braids. She put one around her right arm, one circling her heart, and the third around her right ankle. Now nothing she did could fail. So she took 9 strings, made 3 braids, and she put one on her right arm, one on her right ankle, and one around her heart. And you can see her, I'll get up close so you can see the little fairies. And she's done some magic that she's learned from these little fairies. I wish some fairies would come and talk to me and teach me some magic. Ooh, that would be so fun. Next, she sent around to all the neighbors to borrow 1 and 20 iron frying pans. She hid them in 1 and 20 loaves of bread. Then she baked on the fire in the usual way. Then she set them in the cupboard with some bread she had baked the day before. Then she took a pot of milk and made it into a fresh, wet cheese, and put it along with some white stones at the foot of the cradle she had made up. Okay, so Oonagh has borrowed some metal pans, and she's baked them into all these loaves of bread, but she still has some from the day before. And she took some milk and she's made some cheese, but she put them right next to some stones. Now, my darling, she said, handing Finn some baby clothes, put these on and do everything just as I'm about to tell you. And remember, she said at the last, Cucullin's strength lies in the brass finger he has on his right hand. Now quick, into the cradle, because I hear the man mountain at the door. So she made Finn dress up like a baby, and she says, remember, Cucullin's strength is all in his fingers on his right hand. I don't know what's going on. Why do you think she wants Finn to dress up like a baby? And what is she doing with all these pans baked into the bread? All right, woman. bellowed the giant at the door. "Where's that coward Finn McCool that I've been chasing after all this time?" "Well, well," said Oonagh, with her sweetest smile. "Now isn't that a shame? Finn was off working on the causeway when some important family affair called him away, but he'll be home by tea time. So why don't you just come right in and sit down?" Poor Finn trembled in the cradle. So here's Cucullin. He's very big. And Oonagh says, "Oh, very sweetly, just come in. Finn is on a job. He got called away." And in the meantime, Finn is right there. But he's trembling in his cradle. "See this?" Cucullin said, pulling what looked like a pancake out of his pocket. "This was a thunderbolt until I caught it and flattened it. And that's what I'm gonna do to Finn McCool too," said Oonagh. "That may not be as easy as you think. Finn McCool's a big broth of a man. Why, take a look at our little baby. And you might be getting an idea of all the strength and breadth of Finn himself." So Oonagh says, I don't really care about your thunderbolt. And I don't think Finn's going to care either. And you might not think so after you see our little wee baby. Cucullin peeked in the cradle. "Chirp," said the huge baby, looking back at him. "My," said Cucullin, "what a big boy." "While you're waiting, why not have a bite to eat?" said Oonagh. She put some loaves of bread on the table, along with a can or two of butter and a big pile of cabbage. So Cucullin agrees that this is a very big baby. And Oonagh says, let's go sit down and have a little snack, and while we wait. Oh, Cucullin, who was as much a glutton as he was a bully, popped a loaf into his mouth and took a huge bite right down into one of the frying pans. Clang! "Yo!" shouted Cucullin. "What kind of devil's bread is this? Here are 2 of my teeth out." The bread knocked out 2 of his teeth. "That's Finn's bread, the only kind he eats," said Oonagh. "Is it a bit too tough for you?" "Too tough for me?" shouted Cucullin. "I should say not. Just give me another." Cucullin chomped into another loaf and into another frying pan. "I'll have not a tooth left in my mouth, woman. There's 2 more out." Cucullin hollered even louder. So you can see he doesn't have very many teeth in the front anymore. He's looking a little bit like a kindergartner, except for he's a grown giant. The baby began to holler too. "Hungry, hungry, hungry." "Oh, sweet dumpling," said Oonagh, and she handed baby Finn a loaf. And because there was no frying pan in it, Finn ate it right down. "More," said the baby, and he gobbled up another loaf. "Oh, he seems a strong lad," said Cucullin, getting a little worried. If this was the baby, the father must indeed be a bit stronger than Cucullin thought. "Ah, yes," said Oonagh, beaming. "Why, instead of dollies, he likes to play with those white stones there in his cradle. Show the nice man, baby dear." So Cucullin's beginning to worry because the bread that broke his teeth, baby Finn is eating no problem. But he's starting to worry because if the baby can do this, imagine his dad. Finn did as he was told. He picked up a stone that was really cheese and squeezed all the water out of it and popped it into his mouth and ate it down. Cucullin was not to be outdone by a baby. He grabbed a stone and squeezed. He squeezed and squeezed. Squeezed as he might, he couldn't get one drop of water out of it. He popped it into his mouth with a chomp, and there went the rest of his teeth. Womp womp. So even though he couldn't squeeze any water out of it, he thought, I'm tougher than a baby. And he broke out the rest of his teeth. The howl that came out of him almost broke all the windows. When he finally calmed down, Cucullin said to Oonagh, "What kind of teeth does that lad have? They must be made of iron. Let me see your chompers, baby." At that, baby Finn opened wide his mouth, and Cucullin stuck his brass finger, the very brass finger that was the secret of all his strength. Dun, dun, dun. So remember, Cucullin's strength is all in the finger on his right hand. And he's saying, "Let's see how tough your teeth are, baby." And he put his finger right in the baby's mouth. With a strong bite, Finn McCool bit the brass finger right off. Then up Finn leapt and began to pound the daylights out of poor weak Cucullin. And that was that. Out the door went Cucullin, never to bother anyone, let alone Finn McCool again. "Tea's ready, my love," said Oonagh, and Finn McCool sat down with the best giant wife in the whole world, and they lived a long, happy life. The end. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you really enjoyed the story of Finn McCool of Knockmany Hill, and I hope that you choose not to fight, because nothing good can really come of it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you liked this story, please hit that thumbs up button at the bottom of the page. If you are already a subscriber, thank you so much. Your support really means a lot to me. If you're not a subscriber yet, please click the subscribe button down here at the bottom of the page. And don't forget to click the bell so that you're notified when there's new content. I hope to see you all again real soon. Bye-bye.